Good evening, welcome to a new series of the Friday Sports Show on Radio Borders. I'm Stuart Cameron, welcome to the programme. Coming up later, Mark Wilson with a look at the local football, but we start with rugby. And right away, let's mention that tonight the competitive rugby season kicks off at the Geights with a match between Peebles and Gala in the Booker Border League. This will be Peebles' first run out this season, while Gala warmed up last Saturday with a convincing victory over Boroughmuir. After the issues last season when Gala wrapped up the title for the third year running by playing and winning just 2 games, it was clear something had to be done to the format of the oldest league in the world of rugby. So the clubs have decided to scrap the end of season final to revert back to a true league system where the 7 clubs in the competition all play each other. Double-headed Premiership and National League games will play a big part in getting all matches completed this season. Tomorrow, Stuart McFarlane and Bruce Miller will be down at Philiphaugh to cover the Border League clash between Selkirk and Melrose for Radio Borders as Saturday's Scoreboard Live returns. It's a 3 o'clock kick-off for that one, and games between these two sides are always close. Last week, Selkirk looked very sharp indeed, running in 10 tries against Preston Lodge, while Melrose are likely to put out some new faces in that game. There are a number of friendlies tomorrow. Hawick are at home to Tynedale, Duns will face Hawick YM in a derby, Melrose Storm are at home to Berwick, and Kelso host White Craigs. Langham will start their season with a match against the Pigberians, the charity side made up of a number of local and national players. Unfortunately, the game between Jed Forest and Wigton is off. My guest on tonight's programme is Gala head coach George Graham, who I caught up with last week. Well, George, it's another season. It was pretty traumatic towards the end of it. In fact, so traumatic that you were considering your future. But you've had a good rest off now and you're raring to go.
Yeah, very much so. I think, as you say, I don't know if it was dramatic or traumatic. It was really tough to take when we lost both these hugely important games by, the smallest of margins. The Ayr one was a really tough one to take, and then the last kick of the game against Hawks was, very, very hard to take as well. But with all these games, you have to, take them in, take the best things out of them, and try and move on. And yeah, I was bitterly disappointed. I was hurting, and you say things that you probably don't. Mean, and I'm really excited now, and we started training a week earlier this year. We're going to try and iron things out again, and we're going to start again, and we're just as hungry as we have been.
And you mentioned fine margins there, and it really is, rugby is about that. And of course, you could say that some of the games earlier in the season where teams got back at you after a big lead, those fine margins came back to haunt you in the end.
Well, I think they did. I mean, certainly the ones that stand out are the inherits when we were winning, I think it was 17 or 18-3 in the second half, and they came back and beat us by 1 point. I think that was definitely a turning point for us as well. And then, the game against Hawks where we were getting beat really badly because we were late getting off the bus sort of thing, and then we came back and we were winning 38-24, and then he scored another 2 tries, and we were very lucky to hold on to the match by that time. So these games have a huge bearing, and the 2 Melrose games we get beat by the smallest of margins again, where if we win both of the games and it completely turns a complex, and we're in front. But I'm not complaining about we've missed these or we could have done that. It's at the end of the day, it's coulda, woulda, shoulda. We never did, and we need to accept the consequences for that. So, but we're another year more experienced, and the boys need to bring that to the forefront of when we're playing the games this year, because they've experienced the hurt and the disappointment of missing this league title and the Scottish Cup final. So hopefully they'll have a bit of a bee in the bonnet about trying to get there this season.
So 2 second places in the Premiership, which, for most clubs, they would be very happy with that. But that's not really what you're after.
I've never really been happy with second, to be fair, Stuart. I mean, it's the old adage that nobody ever remembers who second is. The only thing that'd be up is Melrose have won the league twice in the last 2 years, and we were behind them. But nobody will ever say, Gala were close. It's nothing about that. It's about who finishes on top. And we are going to, do everything we can in our power. That's myself, the coaching staff, the club, and all the players to try and achieve our dream of getting that first league title in a long time.
Of course, from your point of view, this is your last year in contract with Gala. Obviously, we'll be seeing how the season goes, but could this really be the end, or is there a possibility of something after that?
I really don't know. It would all depend on the club. At the end of the day, I'm employed by the club, and it's up to them if they want to renew my contract and see how the club goes. And I don't know how the season is going to pan out. I'm hoping it goes the same way as we've had, and every season we've pretty much had a fairly good incline in terms of where we finished, except for last season where we just sort of plateaued. So as I say, it'll certainly depend what the club want, and if they see me as the coach of this club. And as I say, we'll just need to wait till near the time.
So what about this season then? You've retained a lot of players, which is very good news. In the prop department, though, Ewan McQuillan's gone across to Melrose, which was a little bit of a surprise to a lot of people. Rory Sutherland, the other prop, is a pro contract now with Edinburgh, will probably play for Gala in the season. But 2 out of your front row is a big blow.
Yeah, very, very surprised at Ewan McQuillan going. He's made his decision for whatever reason he wanted to go. Disappointed. Spent a lot of time with Ewan over the last 5 years, giving him pretty much every ounce of my experience and helping him to get there. Then he decides after he gets his contract that he wants to go and play for another club. That's entirely up to him. I wish him the very best, and I'm sure he'll be a major asset to Melrose. Rory, to be fair, was always in the card. He took to the scrummaging when he came here. I think he was a big, powerful boy. He'd just never really been taught how to scrummage properly. And we spent a lot of time, myself and him and the other front row forwards, and just sort of honing his skills. I think he was a rough diamond, and we've just sort of chipped away the edges, and I really do think that Rory could be a bit of a rock star in the future.
So who's coming in? We've got Luke Petty back, which is great news.
Oh, that's fantastic. Luke's an absolute warrior. The injury he had at the start of last season was horrendous, and to be fair, there was talk of him potentially not coming back. But really, really pleased that he's been working incredibly hard over the pre-season, and he even had a bit part to play at the end of last season. So to come back as early as that, and it's just fantastic to have him available to us. The fact that Rory's up with Edinburgh, I don't really know if we'll get him, because I think he might not be too far away from being involved with the full team. So, but if we get him back, fantastic. But if we don't, we've got a very, very able guy in Luke to cover us. And also we've got young Gary Robertson, who stepped up for the Wanderers and played a few games last season. I'm really excited about this boy. I think he could be another one. I think he could be probably better than what Ewan McQuillan was. I think he's got all the attributes. He's very quick. He's got good hands. He's got a good knowledge of the game. And once again, he just needs to learn the game, and that's what we're spending a lot of time on him right now. But we've got the same boys. We've got, certainly in the front row, we've got Callum McIntosh and Russell Anderson. The two of them have been training really, really hard all season. So, they're going to be thereabouts. And also, strangely enough, Ewan Johnson, at the ripe old age of about 39, has been absolutely training the house down. I think he enjoyed the fact that he played in the Border League final, and wasn't too happy when I pulled him off, to be fair. So I think he is really, really training hard, and to be fair, is fairly impressive.
I mean, must mention the Peter Palapoy.
The big man has decided to not hang up his boots. I think he was gutted last season. He initially said he was going to, that would be him, that's it done. But I think once, the same as myself, once the hurt moves on a little bit, he decides he's going to give it one more go, and he's been working hard.
Well, let's move on to the backs as well. Chris Dalgleish takes over as backs coach, and you've still got some, pretty good talent out there.
Yeah, we have. I mean, we've still managed to keep the players that we had last season, and we've got young Rory Howard, who has stepped up for the Wanderers, and he's been given an EDP contract as well, so fantastic with him, and he'll be getting all the fitness and strength, obviously conditioning up there, and we'll feel the benefit of that, because I don't think they'll be playing much rugby with him up there as well. We've still got Chris Auld and David O'Hagan's back. George Graham's going to be fit again, because he missed the end of last season, so that's a big boost to get him back as well. And also we've still got, unfortunately Gerald Sabanda has went back home. He's finished his time at Gala, but we've still got the likes of the Grant Somerville, and we've got Graham Spears and Craig Dodds, and Sean Law has come back from Australia, so he's going to be involved. Yeah, we're still quite happy in that department.
Well, I always ask you about targets for the season. I'd imagine it's win every game.
To be fair, nothing's changed, Stuart. We've been speaking to each other for a good few years now, and obviously bitterly disappointed that we never won anything last year, or we won the Border League, and that was fantastic, and we've held on to the Border League, I think, for the last 3 years, and it's great, but it's not what we're after. It's not the main target for us. We want to win the league. That's be all and end all. As a coach, you measure yourself on how you do over the season, and that's what we're wanting to do. And in the Scottish Cup final, we've tasted the fact that we've won it. and unfortunately we haven't managed to get back there again, and that's bitterly disappointed. Although 2 seasons in a trot we've managed to get to the semi-finals and just fell at the last hurdle. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I'd be a liar if I said I didn't want to win the lot of them. The fact that we're not going to be any British and Irish Cup games this season might be a blessing in disguise, because we'll be a bit fresher and we might not play as many games, although we will be having a competition regarding playing Heriots and Ayr and Melrose and these games in between the time when they were going to have these BNI Cup matches. But that's just for a cup, and so we'll wait and see how that format takes shape.
And of course this year the playoffs will be kicking in.
Yeah, me personally, I'm not a particularly big fan of playoffs, never have been. But once again, I don't really get consulted about these things. That's the powers that be, and that's up to them. I believe if you finish at the top of the tree after all these games, then you're the winner. Not, then you have to then go and play another 2 games. But there's pros and cons. We could finish 4th and still win the league. And that's one of the things that you have to think of. As I say, I would rather be at the top of the pile looking down most of the time than at the 4th looking up and saying, well, we'll maybe sneak it, because you'll be at the top of the league for a reason, not because you want to finish 4th. It's because you've been beaten by these teams that are above you. But I don't know, as I say, I disagree with it. I'm not a big fan of it, but we'll just need to take shape and then make sure that we try and fulfil our time as getting into these games.
Before I go, a quick word about the new BT Charity Shield game between Melrose and Heriots. That's at the Greenyards next Saturday and part of a double bill. At 2 o'clock, Edinburgh will play Leicester Tigers with admission £10 and £5 concessions. Public parking for that day, incidentally, will be at the Glebe pitch on the Gala Shields Road out of Melrose, so make sure you allow an extra 10 minutes to get to the ground. Stand seat tickets are available from Edinburgh Rugby, and availability is limited for that, but ground tickets will be available at the gate. The Melrose v Heriots match is free entry, although charity donations for cancer care will be welcome. Well, that's your lot for rugby tonight. Mark Wilson here with the football next.